thinking, and that's like turning yourself upside down. Filmmakers always put the idea in the centre, and what we're just trying to train them to do to try and imagine where is the new audience. You have to put that audience right at the centre of your development and think about what they're doing. And you have to never assume people will just find your project if it's online, because they won't. So you have to think about what their behaviour is and how you go out to them. Because, television, there are a lot of people still watching television. There is no doubt about it. But there's a lot of people doing lots and lots and lots of other things. And so you have to find where they are. So we run the crossover. Sheffield DocFest runs something called Crossover all year. We're looking even to do one in France with Yves, we just finished one last week called Crossover Science, which was all about science programs. We're doing one in Canada, starts tomorrow. I'm obviously not going to that one. So, we do a lot of stuff about developing market, developing relationships, developing like really good one-on-one meetings, and also embracing the new media opportunities. I think it's really important to not think about television as the only thing. Like, think about there's big opportunities in new media, but there's big opportunities in educational distribution as well. There's a lot of people making more money out of what happens to their project afterwards in education than what happened in the TV. And that my next speaker will prove that cinema can work, but I would tell you not to focus on cinema as your number one outlet, because it's only an exception to the rule where it really works, I think. And you could, you can keep it in the mix, but if you want to survive and stay in this industry for a long time, you can't focus on that as your main outlet. There's some really scary statistics around, like something like, documentary producers, it takes them 5 years between the first film and the second film, and most people don't make it to the second film. So the very small percentage of people that make the second film, there's a big gap. So you have to think about how you are going to survive in the 5 years between the gap, and then see what happens after that. I think that's all from me.
From France, as he did maybe on this stage of the Academy Award, I think he's preceded always with the Penguins, because he's the producer of March of the Penguin, but he does a lot of other things. As an independent producer, Bonne Pioche is responsible for how many hours do you produce per year?
We put around 25 hours for television.
Of television. Emmanuel has been also president of the Association of Independent Producers in France, therefore the equivalent also of ABPI. And he's here with us as the opening line was given to you by Heather. We can survive in documentary, in feature film?
Yes, I think we can. Yes, we can. First, I want to say that when Jack said before that we are here to share and not to teach, I totally agree with that. I'm not at all pretending to be any kind of teacher. And the only thing I will try during this week to do with all of you guys is to share my own experience, my own way. And as you probably already noticed, there is one way of producing per producer. So there are some kinds of tricks or some kinds of knowledge that we can try to discuss with you, but as your own personality, you will have your own way of producing. I'm totally convinced of that thing. I would try to say also that I think that our job as producer of documentaries is full of paradoxes or full of duality, if we can say. One is, I'm sure that 100% of you here in that room is driven by passion. You have nobody forced you to become a producer of documentary or director of documentary. I know that you are not doing this to get a lot of money in your pocket, because we all know that it's not the proper way to do that. So passion versus a job for living or money that you can get. Another idea could be the paradox or the duality between industry and programs. We always heard about the industry of programs, and at the first hearing it sounds a bit paradoxal. Okay, program is more related to culture, to art, to author, and industry sounds like money, business, companies, etc. But I do think that it's not that paradoxical. You have to live with that schizophrenic in your mind that you can do programs very specific, the passion that you are driven into that. But at the same time, it could be done into the reality of our business, which is also industry. You need a lot of money to produce a documentary. The cost of an average documentary in France, with the same amount of money, you could easily buy a nice house in the countryside. So it's not like if you are a good writer, with just a pen and some paper, you can write the next bestseller book. Or as a painter, you can paint for nothing, nothing. I mean, in terms of money, you need the industry, you need the money, and this is not antinomic. I don't know if it's English. It is not in opposition with program and quality and programs that you can be proud of. Another duality would be, I would say, fit in a slot on one side, and on the other side being unique, different, new, creative. And that's, for me, is a bit paradoxal. And we always tried at Bunkers for 16 years now we've been always interested in program that doesn't really fit in any slot. So which is a problem at the first side, because when you go to see a broadcaster and say, okay, is it history or is it wildlife? I mean, is it society or is it science? And we love, in my company, we love to mix things. And so it's more difficult at the beginning, but probably, it's not a trick, but probably it will be more different. And then the broadcaster, they will accept that as something new. And from that something new, they wanted to do then a slot out of that. And then it becomes a kind of normative program out of something different. So I think there is a kind of paradox here too. I don't know if I'm clear on that, but it's, for me, something very important. I would say another one is between conservative and evolution, which would, I want to say that some people in the documentary business, in documentary world, wants to be very conservative. They want to, okay, documentary have been like this and should be forever like that. Don't change. This is the way to tell a story about history and archives. This is the way to tell a story about wildlife. And I do think that, again, you can change, you can evolve in that way, and to try to mix different genre of stories, different way of telling stories. For example, I would love to produce a documentary combined with animation and real shooting. Then you have to find a proper story, of course, about that. But I don't think at all that documentary have to be jailed into a box, and that box should not evolve. In the 70s, documentary, and the 80s was more politic. In France, I'm speaking more social and politic. Then it moved, and you had very bad films, and now we still have very bad films and very good films. It's not a question of style, it's a question of moving into new ideas. And finally, another duality for me is between globalization. A lot of people here have said, okay, we need now more and more co-production, basically because of lack of money. And it's not totally because people are generous and they want suddenly to share with others their knowledge and their films and their idea. Because somebody said at this table, I think, that it's very hard to co-produce and it's very difficult. But we have to, in a way. So that's the globalization. And at the same time, I still strongly think that we still have like identity, national identity. We have our style. I was talking with somebody